It's the one place in Las Vegas where we've mastered the X factor of excitement for our archaeological excavations. Freakish exhibits, extreme parrots, and the many more exhilarating stories at the Springs Preserve, where all that matters is what's elemental. The earth of the preserve is layered with history, ancient and modern, and still being revealed, as we've discovered, during our recent excavation of a redwood pipeline that pumped spring water to early Las Vegas and will be on display at Boomtown 1905 to remind us of the lengths and depths we must go to move and conserve such a scarce desert resource.
Not only is the Springs Preserve important locally and within the state of Nevada by being placed on the National Register of Historic Places, it is significant to the history, the national history of the United States.
And our archaeologists are always observing the surface features of any potentially historic site for clues about what might lie below, waiting to be uncovered.
Well, before I came on as archaeologist, there was evidence of the ground subsiding, the ground sinking in an area, and the archaeological staff at the time went to go investigate that, thinking perhaps that it was a collapsed pipe. And so they went in with some backhoe and removed some of the overburden and found evidence of some of the metal bands that would wrap around those redwood pipe. And so we knew where it was located. And so we decided with the construction of Boomtown that we might want to have some more examples of that redwood pipe. So over the past several months, we've been out there excavating, uncovering that.
What's thrilling about this find is a museum-class story that deserves showing and telling.
Redwood pipe was used mainly in the early 1900s. We know that they've been replacing redwood pipe all the way up until the 1930s, replacing it with cast iron or concrete pipe. So the pipe that we're excavating right now is a mainline pipe. So it's about 30 inches in diameter. It's significant and would have drawn a lot of water from the springs to the railroad shops and beyond into the town. So, redwood was primarily used because it was a little more inexpensive, but also redwood was generally resistant to rot and could be soaked in water and wouldn't just disintegrate.
Although age has often taken its toll.
As we excavate down to the location where this redwood pipe, the first thing that we notice when we see are these bands of metal hoops that would have been wrapped around the redwood staves. And so these redwood staves are, anywhere between 4 to 6 inches wide, arranged in a circular pattern, and then banded and tied together by these metal hoops. Now the pipe that we're excavating out there right now, it's well over 100 years old, and even if redwood is resistant to rot and can sit in water, it's 100 years old. So the condition of the pipe is not in the best condition.
Which makes arresting the decay even more essential before putting the pipe on display as a multifaceted and many-layered symbol of water's constant influence on Las Vegas.
Some of the staff from the Nevada State Museum have given us some tips, given us some advice on conservation practices, and actually helped us with some materials as well to help put that pipe together. And once we have that pipe together, we're going to have it on display out in Boomtown, in the depot, to help tell that wider story, that larger story about how water is so important to Las Vegas and was so important to early Las Vegas as well.
Discover the faces and places of the past at Boomtown 1905, our recreated historical streetscape where you can stroll back in time and learn more about the humble beginnings of Las Vegas through engaging interpretive experiences. Visit springspreserve.org for more information. On tap for later this year is the opening of our new Waterworks exhibit, which will be the ultimate interactive experience of Las Vegas Valley innovations and global advances in plumbing, pumping, and protecting the well springs of this precious resource.
Well, it really tells the story of water, and the Springs Preserve was the original birthplace of Las Vegas. The springs, which did bubble up to the surface, that at first attracted the Native Americans and then the early pioneering settlers, were here on this site. And in fact, the railroad built a number of facilities here in Las Vegas at what is now the Springs Preserve to service the railroad itself, and the railroad is really what put Las Vegas on the map.
So it's historically significant that Waterworks is on our own railroad line and within sight of our recreated Las Vegas town site that was first made possible by water and train travel.
The exhibit itself is across from the new Boomtown 1905 exhibit. So on the kind of north end of the property, visitors will be able to walk there or take the train there.
To a living museum where water is actually at work every day.
We'll have the exhibit inside of the Charleston Heights pump station. So the exhibit itself will look out over the pumps which move the water up from one part of the valley up to another.
Visitors will get the complete tour of its travels throughout an enormous western watercourse, where it is consistently handled with the greatest care and delivered according to exacting standards of quality.
So the exhibit's broken up in a couple different sections. One will look at water quality, so we'll look at water testing with a number of interactives. We'll also look at water delivery, so where we get our water from. We'll be following it from the headwaters of the Rocky Mountains all the way down into the water treatment facilities and into our homes.
It's a truly interactive experience of water's journey firsthand, from testing water's pH and using microscopes to look for contaminants, to stepping into the shoes of a real-life water operator to help direct water across the Las Vegas Valley. Guests will become part of the water equation with a lesson sure to hit home.
Another one of the main messages of the exhibit is water conservation, and so we have a number of interactives in that section that talk about the things that people can do at home, at work, and around town to conserve the water that we all need to survive and for the valley to survive and thrive as well as it has and can.
With the generous support of the One Drop Foundation, with contribution from the Royal Bank of Canada's Blue Water Project, and ongoing support from the Springs Preserve Foundation, this exhibit is equally aware of the immediate needs of people around the world and the long-term water supply right here in Las Vegas.
And another section of the exhibit will also look at the third intake project, which was the development of that third straw into Lake Mead to bring the highest quality, best water to the Las Vegas Valley. And we'll have a number of artifacts that go along with that, including the man basket, which was used to bring workers several stories down to work on the project, as well as the clamshell bucket and a few other artifacts that were used during the development of that project.
Alongside the example of our hard-won and ultra-modern infrastructure stands the daily challenges of basic water delivery in developing countries, where it can be a process that's life-consuming or life-giving.
If you're spending all your time walking to get water, you're not able to provide for your family in any way, such as finding a job, and certainly if you're a young girl, you're not going to school.
The essential message of the exhibit and the preserve is that no well is endless, but we can extend our priceless supplies by measuring its value drop by drop while accumulating reservoirs of water wisdom at exhibits like this one. With the return of Clint Carvalho's Extreme Parrot Show that was so popular, visitors to the Springs Preserve will again get a chance to enjoy the genius of natural design that allows these birds the freedom to fly, speak, sing, and perform beautifully before adoring crowds.
Parrots actually are a really huge group of birds. So there are over 350 different species of parrots, and they can include stuff like the macaws, the lovebirds, and lorikeets and conures, and there are parrots found in any sort of tropical or subtropical climates.
And their plumage displays the rainbow hues of every forest and lush jungle they inhabit around the world.
So one of the great things about parrots is their coloration. They're really brightly, beautifully colored. A lot of them have reds and greens and blues.
They're not just colorful, though, when you realize what sure-footed athletes they are.
Parrots have something called zygodactyl feet. What that means is they have 4 toes. 2 of their toes are pointed forwards and 2 of their toes are pointed backwards. So the purpose for this, what they use it for, is they're really good at climbing, and they can also kind of hang upside down or move around on trees. They do a lot of movements with those.
Add on the feature of their unique beak, and they act like a pretty but very practical food processor.
So another unique thing about parrots is they have this curved beak. So their top beak is curved and it comes down into a point. So their beaks are actually really interesting because they use those beaks to crack open nuts, they can peel off seed casings, they can even peel off the skin off a grape to eat it. But they also have something called a bill tip organ. So that means when they're putting like seeds or other things that they like to eat in their mouth, they can actually feel what they're doing.
As social animals, they're also ideal showbirds who feel free to express themselves physically and vocally.
Sing me a song.
There are other bird species that can mimic sounds, but parrots are exceptionally good at it. It's part of their intelligence and part of their learning process. So they like to live in a flock, and part of their flock behavior is that they will mimic the other flock members, and they will kind of learn different sounds, and they will communicate things, and they're always really curious and always moving around, and they're always kind of chatting. So birds are very sociable. These parrots are very sociable animals.
Clint's parrots have good reason to sing because he's rescued hundreds over the years that might have been threatened with extinction or the abuses of the illegal pet trade, and he's given them a safe place to heal and please people.
So at the preserve here, we like to do a lot of talking about preserving the wildlife and sort of the environment, and so everything's connected. And I think kids get really excited about something that they can interact with. So like the birds are really great because they're big and they're flashy and they're colorful, and they get really excited to see them, and that kind of gets them excited about wildlife in general and kind of conservation and help them appreciate the larger natural world around them.
A world that will expand enormously in a post-show get-together with these charismatic creatures.
So there's this really great option after the show to do a meet and greet with the birds that you get to meet during the show. So you can actually get up close and personal and touch them and get your photos taken with them.
And maybe exchange a parrot-style greeting with them.
One of the really fun things that you can do is, you'll also see this during the show, is they'll pick up a parrot actually by their beak. So it looks really unusual, and you're like, why are you picking up an animal by its mouth? That's actually a really natural behavior for them. So when they're climbing around on trees or moving around on branches, they'll use that beak to help them kind of lift themselves up and then use those strong legs to keep climbing. So that's actually really natural behavior for them.
Which is also an exceptional opportunity for audience members to more freely and fully appreciate these winged natural wonders. With the coming of spring, butterflies are on the wing again now that we've reopened our unique natural habitat. Visit springspreserve.org for more information. Summer is coming, bringing with it a vacation from school for the kids, along with all the learning and growing advantages of participating in the Preserve's weekly themed fun camps.
Our summer fun camps are going to run for 9 weeks this year, and each week has its own unique and exciting theme. So if your child is particularly interested in, say, dinosaurs, they'd want to come to our Jurassic Preserve theme, but the themes never repeat, so that you can come to all 9 weeks of camp and have a really unique and fun experience each time.
By enrolling the kids in camp, you'll introduce them to many one-of-a-kind experiences led by our expert staff.
There is nothing to match what we have available here at the Springs Preserve. So not only do we have our 3 beautiful museums available for the kids to explore, we have our botanical gardens, we have all kinds of crafts and experts and activities, so they get a really immersive experience that you just can't find anywhere else.
The natural lessons of the Preserve will share time and space with Swimming Fridays at the YMCA and the imaginary worlds created by our Drama Kids instructors.
Every Monday and Tuesday we get to work with Drama Kids International to do really fun improv activities and get to know each other that way.
What's really remarkable is that a week of full-day fun and discovery comes at such a reasonable price.
Our camp is $200 a week for members and $225 for non-members, and camp runs from 9 o'clock to 4 o'clock, but we do have available for an additional $50 a week pre-care and post-care, so especially for working parents, we're available to watch your kids from 6:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m.
So, with several registration options, there's no reason for waiting to take advantage of this great opportunity.
Registration is already available. It's available online, or you can buy a ticket in person at the Springs Preserve ticket window, and camps do fill up really quickly, so the earlier you can get on board, the more likely you are to lock your spot in.
Every Thursday from 11 a.m. to nap time, it's a get-together of the younger set and their parents at our popular play and learning party called Toddler Time, which is a great way to introduce the whole family to the complete Springs Preserve experience with new themes weekly. Visit springspreserve.org for more information. Robert Ripley is enshrined in American culture for his stranger-than-fiction but entirely factual cartoons about the world's most unusual occurrences. And in our new traveling exhibit, The Science of Ripley's Believe It or Not, a collection that's nearly a century old proves it can withstand the test of time and truth.
Robert Ripley was a real man, newspaper illustrator. He draws cartoons at a time when most newspapers didn't have cameras, didn't have a photograph. You had staff that drew the stories. At first, he's drawing almost totally sports stories. 1922, he does a round-the-world trip, the very first ocean liner to go around the world. He's on the boat. And it's from that trip that he sees the rest of the world.
And then there's no end to the ideas for his cartoons.
Now suddenly there's so much more to talk about. So from sports he goes to culture, to science, to architecture, to fashion. Everything is subject to the cartoon as long as it's unbelievable, but true.
Which was a wildly popular and profitable formula for Mr. Ripley.
First cartoonist to make $1 million, first cartoonist in the Hall of Fame. He only made it because he was really good at what he did,
making him a nearly unbelievable media phenomenon.
He gets into the museum business, he gets into radio, a regular weekly show. He gets his first auditorium is in 1933, public speaking, eventually television. He's a pioneer in all of the media.
And quite the collector of the very curiosities he was cartooning.
This is a very unique show. In many ways, it's kind of a best of Ripley's. It has something from every element of our collection. But it's a science show.
With a high degree of the gee whiz factor.
The premise was to explain what Ripley said was unexplainable. You know, why there's two-headed cows, why there's 8'11" giants like Robert Wadlow, why a guy can put micro-miniatures inside the eye of a needle. So everything that was chosen for here had to have a science element.
Sometimes of enormous proportions.
This snake is one of the most popular things in the show. Titanoboa, it's a prehistoric dinosaur snake. There's none of these around today. If you're afraid of snakes, you don't have to worry about finding a 50-foot one here.
But you can also find some of the teeniest artworks in existence, if you look very carefully.
My favorite thing in the exhibit is the smallest thing in the exhibit, the artwork of Willard Wiggin. He carves sculptures on the heads of pins and in the eyes of needles. Smallest sculptures in the world, absolutely amazing.
Almost as amazing as the power of the Ripley legacy to continue creating wonder and belief.
Literally 98 years, we've touched at least 4 generations of people. My grandparents read Ripley's. My children read Ripley's. What Ripley's has always offered is curiosity. And curiosity killed the cat and brings you back. People want to know.
On display now at the Nevada State Museum is the classic story of how Las Vegas branded itself as the entertainment capital of the world in the 1940s and 50s, as told through the artifacts and promotional items from iconic casinos such as the Stardust and the Dunes. For more information, visit springspreserve.org. One of the most exciting features of the Springs Preserve is the constant change of the plants and wildlife, exhibits and activities from month to month and with every passing season. But there's nothing that's quite as surprising as the endless variety of trade goods that are always being brought in and sought after by our dedicated collectors at the Nature Exchange.
The Nature Exchange is a natural item trading post, the idea of which is that we encourage kids to go out into nature and explore. They find things in nature, bring them into the exchange them for points, and then use those points to take home other items. So guests bringing things into the Nature Exchange can bring in everything from dead insects to seashells, rocks and minerals, plant pine cones and things, and even fossils.
while always appreciating the beauty of our parks and public lands. And because the Nature Exchange staff doesn't want collectors to have any shocking surprises, they remind them to follow some common sense rules of collecting.
We do here at this preserve respect protected wildernesses, so they can't bring things from places like Red Rock Canyon or Lake Mead. We also don't want anything that's still alive or poisonous or venomous. We don't want kids trying to catch a scorpion. And then we also don't take anything that's under regulation, such as bird nests or feathers.
But there are so many other ways to earn points toward an impulse purchase or a major acquisition from the collection.
Kids that bring in their points, they can trade them for anything that interests them. So we have, pine cones from dozens of species of pine trees around the world. We have shells and collections of sea sponges and minerals, and things like amethyst and crystals that they'd love to add to their own collections. If you're out in nature and see a rock on the ground, whether it's in your backyard or in a park or out in the middle of the desert, that's okay to bring to the Nature Exchange.
And every trader can get credit either for their collection or their powers of observation.
We encourage them to learn about nature, and so we will take photographs or journal entries, even homework if it has to do with nature. We give them extra points for the things they bring in, and then they take those points and they spend them on other items they'd like to add to their own collection. It's a great opportunity for parents that want to encourage kids to take an interest in nature or in sciences, to kind of get outside for a little bit and go for a walk. They get a new look to how they see things when they're out in nature, looking for items that are cool they could bring in, and at the same time developing an interest in those sciences.
As our traders become more sophisticated, they begin to understand that both the rarest fossil and the commonplace pine cone are equally amazing once you research deeper into their origins and story. And we definitely want to encourage them to continue that journey of discovery.
We've been doing this for 10 years now, and now we're starting to see the fruits of our labors. Students that were 10 and 12 years old 10 years ago are now in college getting scholarships and being rewarded for the interest that they had in nature.
The constant trading makes this an ever-changing treasury of natural wonders that can lead to the kind of educational experience everybody here really enjoys.
When the children come in, it's very interesting to see that they have a real interest and, not a fear of insects and things that a lot of the parents are like, "Oh, don't touch." The kids are all over it, and so we encourage that. We let them get out the cases of insects and, and see what a butterfly feels like in their hand and do things that they normally couldn't do in nature. And that's what it's kind of the best part of it, is encouraging and getting that hands-on adventure every time they come in.
Because there's so much to learn at the preserve about our culture, community, environment, and history, almost every day here is a series of teachable moments that our education staff approaches with great energy and enthusiasm.
We provide all the field trips, summer camps, classes, nature exchange, anything related to education comes through us.
And as the education team supervisor, Pete's well prepared as a student and professional to make all the education like recreation.
I have a Bachelor's of Science degree in recreation from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. I worked for the City of Las Vegas in Parks and Recreation for 21 years before I moved over here to the Springs Preserve,
where he's discovered and is offering unlimited opportunities for knowledge.
Here we do a little bit of everything. So it's not just educational classes, we're guest services. We work with zoology to go ahead and do our fall show, so we're working with animals. We get to experience every aspect of the Springs Preserve.
And Pete's team leads a steady stream of field trips for local students who get many memorable lessons that also meet with teacher approval.
Now we've created guided field trips, so we've linked it to the Clark County School District curriculum, so each grade can go ahead and come here for an experience that directly relates to what they're learning at school. So being a part of that has been amazing.
Pete's people also enjoy putting together quite a cast and crew for crowd-pleasing performances that help visitors learn about the preserve and our special exhibits.
Our shows in the fall, we've got a great staff here that they create the show from start to finish. They'll write the script, they'll dress in costume. It's very interactive for the people that are watching the show. It's great.
And the team can improvise for any size or type of group that wants the full preserve educational tour.
we'll go ahead and put together a program for them. If it's we're going to teach them about insects in the Mojave, or it's put together a scavenger hunt and they can all meet in the nature exchange, and then we turn them loose and then they come back and collect a prize. So it's not only helping our group out, but it's helping out the other groups that are here at the Springs, giving that added experience.
Which is evident in Pete's commitment to turning teaching into one memorable moment after another.
I love seeing the look of kids' faces when they learn something new here, because it's their home. You know, the people here in the community don't realize that this is where everything started, the birthplace of Las Vegas.
The Desert Living Center not only houses many of our exhibits and events, but the buildings themselves put on full display the skill of our architects in choosing the most sustainable materials and technologies that have the least possible impact on the earth. And now we're curating the center's design accomplishments to bring those environmentally friendly insights right out into the open.
With a lot of designs for buildings, they try to hide the technical side of things. They try to hide the insulation, the air ducts. They try to hide how the building is cooled, because it doesn't seem very interesting. But in the Desert Living Center, we want people to see those things because they were specifically designed and chosen to be sustainable. So the Inside Out interpretive shows people what all of those different features are through sculptures, through windows into walls and floors, and coming up we'll have a series of interpretive signs explaining the concepts to people. Everything from straw bale insulation to rain cisterns to cooling towers. They'll all be explained and right in front of people where they can see it.
Adding greater awareness of the architectural artworks that already symbolize our sustainable innovations.
So as you walk around the property, you can see in our arroyo, we've got this beautiful sculpture of an arrow in a water pattern, and you'll see the interpretive panel that will describe that. You'll see rammed earth walls that are made from rammed earth construction, and the sign will be there explaining how that's done and why that's done.
Along with the many other surprising and hidden features that have been designed into the Desert Living Center since its very beginning.
These features have been here since we opened at the Springs Preserve, but they're sometimes kind of subtle and hard to notice, and because they're all different, you might walk right past it and not see it. So the signs will point all those out. They're all over the Desert Living Center, and there are dozens of them that have been hiding here all along, and we're going to be showing people where they are and what they look like and what they mean.
Even when the center's structures are big enough that you can't possibly miss them, our inside-out signs will reveal their higher functions and deeper meanings.
The Desert Living Center Rotunda is an iconic piece of imagery, an iconic architectural feature here at the Springs Preserve. It's both symbolic and practical. The shape of it creates the right kinds of winds and drafts to cool people down in the summer and warm them up in the winter, and it also represents the basin and range, and the shape of it is a kiva shape.
It's a wise designer who can combine smart building with traditional crafts to inspire a new generation of considerate inhabitants.
All of these features are really, really high tech. At the same time, some of them are ancient too, like our cooling towers and rammed earth. They're ancient forms of construction that we've kind of brought into our century.
And the ideal of the Desert Living Center is reaching out far beyond the boundaries of the preserve to people seeking insights about creating a more sustainable world.
People from building groups who are thinking about similar projects in their own areas come from across the globe to see this phenomenal example that we have right here in our city.
There's a lot more to discover, so join us next time here at the Springs Preserve. We're going crazy over our groundbreaking excavations, wild for trained parrots, and mad about the science of Mr. Ripley, mingled to bring new life to Las Vegas.